Hey, Bold and the beautiful fans. We have got your hot news spoilers for the week of June 8th through the 12th, and things are heating up in Los Angeles in a major way. Katie Logan is riding high, and she is not shy about it, walking those Logan runways like she owns the entire fashion world, which honestly right now she kind of does. Plus, Hope Logan is playing a very dangerous game trying to keep her new professional life hidden from Brooke and the Forresters, and that secret is not going to stay buried for long. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we are diving deep into everything happening the week of June 8th, including some romantic developments, a fashion preview that has people talking, and a familiar face making their return to the canvas. But before we get into all of it, please hit that subscribe button because you do not want to fall behind on any of this. Let's get into it. June 8th on Bold and the Beautiful is Season 39, Episode 185, and we are likely picking up some threads that were left dangling from Friday because there were a lot of conversations that did not feel finished. Steffi and Hope's conversation is one of them, because Steffi is not the kind of woman who walks away from a conversation until she feels like she has gotten everything she came for. She had questions, and I do not think she got satisfying answers, which means she is going to keep poking and prodding until something shakes loose. Hope is going to have to be very careful about what she says and how she says it because Steffi is perceptive and she has been paying close attention. We are also going to get more of Brooke and Katie's heated conversation, and look, that confrontation has been a long time coming. These two have always had a complicated relationship, and the fashion rivalry has pushed everything to a breaking point. The slap is still reverberating through the fandom, and I have been seeing really strong opinions on both sides. Some people feel like what Brooke did was completely unwarranted, and that Katie did not deserve to be physically attacked regardless of what she said. Other people are pointing out that Katie has been coming for Hope in a pretty ruthless way, and that Brooke's reaction, while extreme, came from a place of maternal protectiveness. And there is a whole other camp asking whether Brooke came into that conversation already swinging, essentially starting things before Katie even had a chance to escalate. The really interesting thing I have noticed is that fans are pivoting. People who have been firmly Team Brooke for years are starting to waver, and people who are rooting for Katie are second-guessing that too. When a show manages to make both characters feel sympathetic and infuriating at the same time, that is genuinely good writing, and this storyline is doing exactly that. At Spencer Tower, Liam is sitting down with Wyatt and making his case. Liam tells Wyatt that the entire Spencer family is united and that they need him with them. Now, we all know what this is really about. Bill got his hands on that hope for the future diamond, and Wyatt showed Liam on Friday that the big blue diamond is secured. But Bill wants more than a single diamond. He wants all of his sons working in the same direction, building toward the same goal. And Liam is the one tasked with making that happen, which is interesting because Liam has not always been the most persuasive person in any room, but when he is fighting for family, he finds a gear. He is pressing Wyatt hard, asking him to join the Logan team on a permanent basis. And given that Darren Brooks is back on contract, the answer is pretty clearly yes. I am genuinely excited about the prospect of Wyatt, Liam, and Will all sharing scenes together regularly, because the Spencer brothers dynamic has always been one of the more entertaining things the show does, and having all three of them on the board at the same time opens up a lot of storytelling possibilities. Ty and Brooke also reached some kind of understanding on Monday, and I want to be clear that reaching an understanding does not necessarily mean everything is suddenly fine between them. These two have too much history and too much friction for a single conversation to smooth everything over. An understanding could mean they agree to disagree on Hope, on the fashion rivalry, on Eric, on what the Logan name means and who gets to define it. It is a truce, not a resolution. Do not mistake the two. Electra and Will's relationship is officially hitting a new milestone because Electra has moved in with Will. These two are taking a real step forward, and Will is pulling out all the stops with a romantic candlelit evening on his deck, and he tells Electra that nobody and nothing will come between them. And look, that is a very sweet sentiment, and I am sure he means it in the moment. But on this show, the moment someone says something like that, the writers are already plotting exactly who and what is going to come between them. Famous last words. RJ is still very much in the picture, and he is not going to gracefully step aside just because Electra has officially moved on. Tuesday, June 9th on Bold and the Beautiful is Season 39, episode 186, and Katie and Bill are looking ahead with real optimism about where things are going for them both personally and professionally. Katie is absolutely going to fill Bill in on the fight with Brooke, including the slap, and Bill hearing that his partner got physically attacked by her own sister is not going to sit well with him at all. If anything, this is going to make Katie and Bill more determined. It is going to harden their resolve to make Logan the premier fashion house in Los Angeles. And I get that the rivalry is the engine driving a lot of this, but I also think it is worth pausing to acknowledge that the whole premise of Forrester versus Logan being this zero-sum competition is a little absurd when you think about it practically. High-end fashion is not a monopoly. You can admire multiple designers. You can buy from multiple houses. But soap opera does not run on practical thinking, it runs on passion and competition and pride. So here we are. Elin is getting closer to RJ on Tuesday, and these two are leaning on each other in the wake of the Will and Electra situation. They end up back at Bikini Bar, which is carrying a lot of recent history given that it was the scene of the Will sucker punch situation, and you would think that maybe they would pick a different location. But apparently not, and honestly the show leaning into that setting makes sense because the history adds texture to the scene. RJ is twirling Dylan around on the dance floor, and they're both genuinely smiling, which is nice to see because both of them have been carrying some emotional weight lately. The question is whether this is real or whether RJ is positioning himself strategically, keeping Dylan close because Dylan and Electra are friends, and that proximity gives him a window into Electra's life. Knowing RJ, the answer might be both, and that is not a great foundation for whatever this is becoming. Eden's Day, June 10th, is season 39, episode 187 of Bold and the Beautiful, and things are getting exciting on the fashion front because Deacon and Hope have been hard at work, and now they are hosting an in-house mini fashion preview. Deacon has apparently had a stockpile of designs just waiting to be unveiled, which tells you how seriously he has been taking this whole venture. He was not waiting for permission. He was just creating. And now we are getting to see some of what he has been working on. I will be honest with you about something. Some of the gowns that have been previewed in photos did not blow me away. There was a two-tone situation with mustard and fuchsia that I genuinely could not get behind. It was a combination that just did not work for me aesthetically, and I think a lot of viewers are going to have opinions about that too. But I suspect those pieces might be part of Eric's new couture line rather than the Hope Logan collection specifically, since RJ's focus has been largely on menswear. We will have to wait and see how it all comes together when the full collection is revealed. What is really interesting about this preview is who is watching it and how. Hope and Deacon are lurking off to the side of the stage, staying out of the spotlight, keeping their heads down and taking notes. They are watching the models walk, making mental and physical notes about everything from construction to silhouette to how the pieces move. And they are clearly staying out of sight intentionally because if the wrong person at Forrester finds out what is happening, the whole thing could blow up before Hope is ready to handle it. Hope sneaking around to protect her new professional life is exactly the kind of pressure cooker situation that the show thrives on because the longer she keeps it going, the worse the eventual reveal is going to be. Katie, meanwhile, is front and center at this preview, and she looks absolutely thrilled by what she is seeing. And after everything that happened with Brooke, after that whole confrontation about hope and loyalty and the Logan name, Katie has to be feeling some vindication right now. She did not personally recruit Hope. That was Liam doing the heavy lifting. But Katie was there at the end giving it that final push, and now here is Hope, designing under the Logan banner, and it is everything Katie hoped it would be. She cannot wait to be able to throw this in Brooke's face eventually, and she will find a way to do it. Elin is worried about risking her position at Forrester on Wednesday, and this connects directly to RJ. If things between them do not work out, and RJ decides he is done being friendly, Dylan knows how that story ends. She watched what happened with Will. RJ carries real weight at Forrester even if it is largely through proximity to his family, and Dylan cannot afford to become collateral damage in RJ's personal life. She needs her job. She depends on her paycheck in a way that the Nepo boys like RJ and Will simply do not have to worry about, and that power imbalance is something the show needs to spend more time exploring because it is genuinely interesting territory. Thursday, June 11th on Bold and the Beautiful is season 39, episode 188, and we are getting a guest star this week with singer Elsa returning to the canvas as French fashion enthusiast Fanny Grayson. And for longtime viewers, Fanny is a familiar face. She was at the Eric vs. Ridge fashion showdown, sitting right next to Marie Osmond, and she has shown up at other Forrester-related events over the years. Her return now is interesting timing because the question immediately becomes which side of this fashion war she is going to land on. Is she at Forrester Creations, or is she being courted by Logan? Because Katie and Bill have not been subtle about making aggressive plays to pull talent and attention away from their rivals, and bringing in someone with Fanny's fashion world credibility would be a real coup for either side. Hope gets disappointing news on Thursday, and there are few directions this could go. If Steffi has been digging into the fabricated leave of absence story that Hope used to explain her absence from Forrester, and that digging is starting to yield results, then Hope is going to feel that pressure closing in from one side while she is still trying to manage the Logan situation on the other. It could also be some early criticism of the new Hope Logan collection designs, which would sting especially coming right after the preview on Wednesday. When you're trying to build something new and prove people wrong, the last thing you want is feedback that suggests you are not quite there yet. Ridge suspects RJ might be seeing somebody new on Thursday, and given that it is Dylan, Ridge is going to have thoughts about that. Ridge always has thoughts about who his children are spending time with. The more interesting angle here, though, is whether RJ is actually into Dylan or whether he is running a slow, strategic play. My read on this is that RJ has not given up on Elektra at all. He is keeping Dylan close because Dylan keeps him adjacent to Elektra's life, and he is betting on making a mistake eventually. It is a calculated move dressed up as moving on, and if Dylan ever figures that out, the fallout is going to be significant. Righty, June 12th is season 39, episode 189 of Bold and the Beautiful. And we're closing out the week with some real momentum. Steffi is pushing Katie for answers on Friday, and Steffi on a mission is not someone you can easily deflect. She wants to know things, and she has a way of asking questions that makes it very difficult to give her non-answers. Whether she has already figured out that Hope is working at Logan or whether she is fishing and hoping to catch something, the conversation with Katie is going to be revealing one way or another. I also wonder how much Brooke has said to Ridge and Steffi about her blow-up with Katie and everything that got said in that confrontation, because if Brooke has been venting and dropping details, Steffi has probably already been connecting dots. Emmy finds out something surprising on Friday, and this is a scene I am genuinely curious about. Remy has been all over Deacon's phone with a constant texting, and now he ends up at Deacon's place, which means those texts led somewhere. Remy is living in one of the apartments above Il Giardino, which is the same space where he had that extremely unsettling Elektra Shrine situation that made everyone uncomfortable, so that is already a loaded setting. And then Remy picks up a sketch, and he is completely blown away. He tells Deacon he cannot believe that he is Logan's new designer, and there is genuine admiration there. He says Deacon has really leveled up in the fashion world, and that is actually a nice moment for Deacon's character because he has put in the work and it is being recognized. The big unresolved question around Remy is whether Deacon is going to let him back into his life in any real way, because their relationship has been complicated and Remy's behavior in the Elektra situation did not exactly make him look trustworthy. And then there is the other hanging question about who Sheila's new roommate might be. I keep going back and forth on this. It could be Remy, which would be a wild pairing that would generate a lot of story. But it could also possibly be Lee Finnegan, and if it is Lee, that is a problem for Steffi and Finn in terms of access to the grandkids and the kind of influence Sheila might have if Lee is under her roof. Either option creates complications, and complications are exactly what this show needs heading into summer. This is shaping up to be a week where the Logan vs. Forrester war gets kicked into a higher gear, personal relationships get tested in new ways, and the secrets that have been building are starting to crack at the edges. Hope cannot keep sneaking around forever. The fashion world in this show is small and everyone knows everyone, and when the truth comes out, it is going to land hard. Thank you so much for being a loyal listener and for spending part of your day with us. Make sure you follow Soap Dirt wherever you listen to your podcasts because we have got new content coming regularly and you genuinely do not want to miss it. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all the major platforms. We will see you next time.